Greetings and welcome to another episode of The Last Video Store, the show where I, Alexi Toliopoulos, a guru in the film community, talk to interesting, cool, fun, exciting people about their favorite films in the style of an old school video store rental combo. And the guest on today's episode is singer-songwriter Montaigne. Now, producer Emmeline, didn't we have such a good time hanging out with Montaigne today on the pod?
Yeah, they were so cool. That was such a good chat.
I was so excited. I wanted to have them on the show for the longest time since we started, getting them to come inside the Last Video Store itself, because they have such interesting taste and they explore art in like so many different facets and creativity in so many different facets. So I want to kind of find out like what their taste in film even really was.
Yes.
And they did not disappoint.
Yep.
Montaigne did not disappoint at all. If you're not familiar with Montaigne, I'll say the coolest shit ever. They were the Eurovision entry for Australia a few years ago. They've collaborated with David Byrne of Talking Heads. So they really are just like, I think, a real force to be reckoned with. Mm-hmm. And their new album, it's called It's Hard to Be a Fish, comes out June 19th. There are such wicked music videos accompanying this album. Montaigne has been all made up to be like a mer person, like a sea creature.
Yeah. The Shape of Water vibes.
Yeah, real Shape of Water vibes, in fact. Yeah, so we're going to dive straight into the discussions of all their films. We're going to talk about their favorite films and style video store rental combo, a new release, 2 weeklies, and then I'm going to give them a star pick recommendation based on their taste, as we do every time on this podcast. And if you want your own star pick recommendation, hit us up on a review on Apple Podcasts or a comment on the YouTube, Spotify comment, on the Instagram page, Last Video Store, Batuta. We've got one coming in right now. Who's this from?
Yeah, we do. This is from 1S, I think.
1S?
Yes.
UNS, 1S, something like that.
Something like that. As a former customer of Mondo Movies Annandale, this is my favorite podcast ever.
I got to say, Mondo Movies Annandale was the video store I worked at growing up. It is still my happy place. And this is an honor to get one of the old customers coming back to
Wait, does your happy place not exist anymore? That's
so
sad.
That's why we created the Last Video Store. Yeah. I have it till the end of my days.
That's so sad, though.
But this is an honor to have one of the returning customers from the old brick and mortar video store I worked at to come to the virtual and ethereal one that I now work at.
Is this your new happy place?
I guess so, yes.
Oh,
I would say so. I would say it is, you know. I had to really build it from the ground up into a virtual city that I live in.
Okay. They say, Alexi is truly a genius when it comes to film. Every week my watch list grows and my mind expands.
Whoa.
Absolutely love this pod. Also love Refused Classification.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very nice.
Wow.
Got a true fan here.
If you want to see it, there's another session coming in July of me and Zach refusing classifications.
Don't miss it. Okay, their rental store combo is Challenges.
Great movie.
Paddington 2 and Dinner Rush.
Great movies. Dinner Rush, one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm going to do something whack because they're an old video store customer from Mondo Movies. I'm going to give you what I recommended more than anything at the Mondo Movies video store. We had a DVD box set that went for a price of one weekly, $4, and it was 3 Spike Lee joints. So it was Clockers, it was Do the Right Thing, and it was Jungle Fever. I recommended that to everyone, like so much. So I think most people from Annandale had seen these 3 Spike Lee movies more than the rest of the population of Australia.
I love that.
I just went
keeping
hard
his
on them.
career really like chugging along, specifically in Annandale.
Well, he's one of my heroes. We've got a Spike Lee picture right on the table here right now.
Right.
We've got Sucker Free City, which was a TV pilot that they released as a TV movie because they didn't do the full series. So I'm a big Spike Lee head. Go check out those.
Do you know you've also recommended this before?
Have I?
Yeah, you have.
Okay, well, I'll chuck in another one for you as well, brother. Let's do another recommendation of Dinner Rush, one of my favorite food movies, Boiling Point.
Hell yeah.
And I think I probably recommended Dinner Rush when someone said Boiling Point. So I've run out of choices.
Well,
let's get out there.
I'm sorry to say I've got a photographic mind for everything you've ever recommended.
Emmeline is the human embodiment of the Wikipedia entry for the Last Video Store. But let's get straight into our chat with Montaigne. This rocks. Montaigne is awesome. So let us get into it and check out their new album on June 19th, which might be around about now, called It's All... Oh, that's the one. I'm about to read one of the song titles. It's All About the Money, which is a great YouTube video right now. I'll put that in the show notes too. Click through to the music videos for It's Hard to Be a Fish, the album. Montaigne, thank you for joining me inside the last video store.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. I've been wanting to get you in here for ages, dude.
Oh, good.
It's true.
It's really
Let
nice.
it be known.
Nice to be desired.
You've been desired by me and the video store. The video store itself has been clamoring for you to enter its
Wow.
presence, its voids.
I've heard it has a very deep soul.
A really deep soul.
Yeah.
In fact, each disc and tape out there on the shelves contain the soul
Oh
of a filmmaker and the film itself.
Holy crap, that's a lot of power
A lot
that
of
you
power.
are possessing.
Yeah, I'm somewhat of a gatekeeper to another realm when I sit here at this desk.
Yeah.
Well, Montaigne, I want to kick things off by asking you about your history of film. Did you grow up with a video store?
I did.
Take me back to it. I'll even close my eyes
was
as you build it around me.
Probably. So I grew up in like the Hills district in Sydney, so like Castle Hill, Cherrybrook, Balcombe Hills, like that whole area.
7 Hills? Are you counting that as a hills?
7 Hills. I don't know if it is 7 Hills in
I've
the
got
same
no
region.
idea.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I never went to 7 Hills. I don't think it's in that area. But anyway, there was a civic video
Wow.
near the McDonald's, like in I think Castle Hill. I haven't been back in so long. Like I actually can. It's all very loose in my mind. It's sort of
In your
just
mind,
like,
it is
yeah,
still
it's all
there.
just like clanging around. But we went to the civic video often. That was our regular, and we did hire movies, I would say, relatively often. My parents didn't have particularly adventurous taste. It was basically whatever the blockbuster was, or like the big movie, you know, that sort of thing. Like I don't remember going that niche or deep as a kid into films, just because my dad loves sci-fi, he loves fantasy, so there was a lot of like the Bourne trilogy and Lord of the Rings and I mean,
Like you said, the blockbusters of the early 2000s.
yeah, no, exactly, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I like, and also I wouldn't say that like there were like cinephiles, you know what I mean? Like there were people that enjoyed a movie every now and then, but like, yeah, that was kind of it. They just wanted something to pass the time, but I don't think they appreciate it necessarily as like an art form. You know what I mean? I think maybe my dad now, he like loves sci-fi. Like I think he's realized he really loves sci-fi.
Wow,
so
he's
he
fully embraced
He
it.
cleans out like every sci-fi TV show, every sci-fi film.
Oh my gosh.
Like he'll watch
This
all
guy's
of them.
watching Andromeda.
Yeah, exactly. But that was kind of the extent of my.
And what about you? Because when I think about you, I think about as like very specific taste. I think of you as quite adventurous and exploratory when it comes to embracing multiple forms of art. And like your music videos have always been cool, especially for this new album. The music videos are stunning.
Thank you.
So what has been like when you started finding your own taste in like film and visual media?
I think I've been pretty late on with like my embrace of film, because I think for me it was either always music or video games, and I like didn't spend that much time on visual media otherwise. And like I still watched films, but I didn't spend.
You weren't banned from the genre. From
Yeah,
the
no,
formats.
exactly. But I didn't spend a lot of time seeking it out. You know what I mean? And like, the thing that actually made me pay a bit more attention to films was like I fell really in love with this person that I couldn't be with, and I don't know if this has ever happened.
Was this
to
an
you.
on-screen character? Is that what you? Yeah.
Well, this is honestly,
Yeah.
this is a whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you like fall into this unrequited love.
Yes.
And then you kind of like,
I can tell you, I have had many unrequited loves in my life.
Me too.
Yeah.
But you fall into this mode of like, I must consume culture. I must become a cultured person
Yes.
who like dives deep into the feelings I'm currently experiencing and tries to understand them through film and art and all that stuff. Like it was crazy. For like a year, I was going to the cinema. I was going to Dendy Newtown heaps. I was seeing that Don Quixote movie that Adam Driver was in. I saw Under the Silver Lake. I saw
Under the Silver Lake, by the way, deeply underrated movie.
I really like it.
Adore that
It's
film.
really weird, but I really liked it. And as people may discover, I really like weird films about weird guys. But Yeah, I was watching heaps of stuff, and then after I kind of got over that a little bit, I was going to the cinema less again. But I think
You were going on your own terms.
Yeah. But and also I just like came to really appreciate, I think, cinema during that time.
Wow.
Like I think it's funny because like I'm a big fan of David Byrne, and I've like been lucky enough to be able to work with him now. But he's got this song called "I Should Watch TV," which TV is different from cinema. But like in my head at the time when I was hearing the song when I was like 19 or something, I was like, TV equals cinema. And so when he was like, I used to think that I should watch TV, and like he's like, I used to think that it was good for me, and like blah blah, and he sort of, I guess the song is him saying, I was experiencing the world or trying to understand people through watching TV, but maybe I actually need to push myself to go outside a bit more, you know what I mean? And so I like listened to that song and I was like, film is not that edifying an artistic experience. You know, again, when I was like 18 or 19 or whatever, you've got all kinds of crazy opinions. But and I think that year like pushed me out of that.
That's good.
Yeah.
See, I think I'm the opposite. I've always lived that way. I'm like, unfortunately, film is how I experience the world. I'm trapped in there. I'm trapped in here. But, you know, it's like you said, the way I always describe it, and it is a line that I've put into almost everything I've made, that the silver screen sometimes is a portal to another world. Yeah. Sometimes the silver screen's a mirror reflecting on your own life. And it sounds like you're in the interchange of going, I'm going back out of the mirror. Let's get some portals on me. Let's jump through some little portals and some orbs.
Literally. But yeah, I do really... I think maybe the other thing was that I possibly, except for maybe The Matrix, like had never... watched a film that I felt really reflected my taste. You know what I mean? Because again, I said like I only watched blockbusters growing up. I only grew up watching like mainstream films, and then when I started to see a few more indies like Under the Silver Lake and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, there's like stuff for people like me out there.
I have to tell you right now, my heart started vibrating when you said the sentence. Apart from The Matrix, I've never seen a film reflect my taste more. And I go, oh my God, that's the shit that I want to hear every day. I mean, The Matrix, come on, I can't, if we say the words The Matrix, I'm going to go on a tangent for the rest of my life. But we will find the ways to discuss The Matrix here today.
Yeah, fantastic.
And I mean, there'll be some obvious ways to do so as well.
Yeah.
But when you mentioned David Byrne, I know you've worked with him. Have you seen his movie True Stories?
I actually still haven't yet.
You got to see this movie. It's one of my favorite... one of my favorite projects he's ever done, but it's just like such an elegant expression of who he is in a visual format, and just beautiful, beautiful John Goodman performance.
Cool. Awesome.
So I mean, that's not going to be the recommendation for you today, but there will be more recommendations.
No,
for you.
I really want to see it. It's for whatever reason. Again, because I do like usually the way I prioritize my time is like video games is like first, and then probably. I don't know, books and film for me is like kind of on the same
even keel.
On the same plane.
Well, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Video games are art form I respect deeply as well.
Good.
In fact, I do consider it an art form.
Oh yeah.
Yes, a lot of people don't. I people do.
Yeah.
I people do.
I people do.
I people do.
Well,
Montaigne, I'm going to send you out into the store, start examining those portals, leap through a few of them if you want to. Come back and we'll start chatting about some of your favorite movies, and then I shall give you a recommendation based on your taste.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
New release.
Wonderful stack of portals you've got here sitting in front of you.
I know how to pick a portal.
Oh, that's what I've always said about you. Now, that is one of the great portal pickers. Montaigne can pick a portal.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into your new release film, and what a beautiful portal to leap through to kick off this episode. The new film from Bong Joon-ho, and it even stars a former guest of The Last Video Store, Daniel Henschel, appears in this movie as a guy with a bald head and piercings. You have picked out Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17.
Yeah.
Sci-fi.
I really was looking forward to this movie for quite some time. I finally saw it not too long ago. I too really dug this film.
Yeah.
Tell us about Mickey 17, because I feel like it might have been flown under the radar for a few people.
Yeah, I think so. Mickey 17 is another wonderful, strange sci-fi film by Bong Joon-ho. Yeah, it's about Robert Pattinson with a weird voice, and he's kind of dumb as shit. And he signs up for a program he doesn't even understand the consequences of, wherein he is to be cloned after he dies, or reprinted basically after he dies, to help this new colony on this new planet survive. So he's the guy that they send out into the wild to like get poisoned or like get run through by a strange new animal or like whatever.
Their most dangerous missions with like 100% fatality rate, basically.
Yeah, exactly. He's their test guy, basically. And so he, experiences the pain and trauma of dying, because he also recollects all of his memories too.
Yeah.
Experiences the pain and trauma of dying constantly. And so where you get to in the film is they get to like the 17th print of him.
He is the titular Mickey 17.
He's exactly. And then something kind of goes wrong. And maybe I shouldn't say what, just in case people are interested in seeing this film and they haven't seen it yet. But something goes wrong, which kicks off the rest of the film. But what I love so much about this film and other Bong Joon-ho films is like he has a real love for like little animals, like for like little animal-y weird guys. And
of course, Okja, famous creature from one of his films.
Exactly. Like he just has such a love for the world's creatures, which I really love because I also do. But yeah, that ends up being quite a big part of this film. It's kind of like Nausicaa. Nausicaa Valley of the Wind. Yeah, it's like similar-ish plot almost, but then there's also all this other stuff with this like Donald Trump type character played by Mark Ruffalo and his wife, and like there's a lot of really fun stuff going on in
I really enjoyed this, and I think it's the same kind of thing for you. Like I had so much pleasure in this like daggy sci-fi world building. Like I think that where this film really sings to me is the build up in the backstory of the Mickeys 1 through 17. I think there's so much delight in Bong Joon-ho's approach to sci-fi storytelling, where he does not ground it in our reality. He does ground it in like a future reality, but he is able to find like a point to kind of hinge all this weirder, absurdist type humor on. And I think finding that humor point is what really appealed to me so much about this film. And part of it is he is giving actors the chance to just try something out weird. And he creates this space for them to do so. Like Rob Pattinson having at least two great performances in this film that are... You can go, well, here's where that commonality is between them and where one is a different copy of a different copy or whatever. And then how that changes, how he's able to modulate his voice to express different versions of this person. Mark Ruffalo doing some really out there stuff. Toni Collette, who I think is one of the greatest actors of all time, also getting to play in that same space and bounce off Ruffalo and Daniel Henschel so much in such a fun way. But I just think this is, to me, is an underappreciated modern sci-fi comedy piece that I think it's the kind of film that you really just go, people will discover this on home video or something one day, you know?
I do. I always feel so sad when like films like this fly under the radar because again, it's like my taste. And I think they're so special, and when they get sort of like largely ignored at the box office or whatever, I'm like, no, but I want more like this. Like, keep giving this money because like even I fear for that sometimes, but then also I think they do take on these like cult following lives like later down the track.
I mean, this has got cult written all over it, you know? Like it's so whack, and then it becomes like this modern day political satire. And there's some stuff in this where I go, I cannot believe that this was written like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, because the stuff in it that felt so like, well, this is from the last 6 months, something that they're I would just say there's an assassination thing in this movie that is so close to the actual Donald Trump assassination attempt that I just like go, I cannot believe this entire film was finished before that happened.
I think that makes good sci-fi often if it does presage like a moment in time, or at least I can't think of one off the top of my head, but often history repeats itself, and no doubt similar things have happened in the past that this does take spirit from. But I do think Bong Joon-ho has always been quite good at understanding I guess, political situations. And he has, like, I think a really strong moral sense of, like, what is right and the way that, like, power relationships end up affecting people. And that always comes out really beautifully in his films.
I agree as well. I think there's something in his satire whereas, like, Parasite is, to me, one of the most perfect and dare I say, like, elegant satire. Like, it's specific as well. Like, it's very specific in what it's satirizing in this, like, class cultural context. And then I think I can appreciate someone who can do something so elegant to then doing, like, brute force, like, bang you over the head, brute force satire in this too. I think it's great to have both modes.
Yeah,
Before we move on from Mickey 17, these creatures, what do you reckon about these little buggy kind of, like, half rhinoceros, half woolly mammoth, half little I love scarab beetle type creatures?
I love them. I think, you know, I mean, video games, like, right, often depict, you know, foreign worlds, unvisited or
to explore,
unsettled or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're just places with wildness and with many creatures that maybe don't have the same behavior as humans and definitely don't look like humans, but, like, they live on this earth and it's theirs. And then often you as the video game protagonist are, like, hopping onto this planet to, like, fucking destroy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, wipe out all these life forms. Like, I don't know if you heard about this game, Helldivers 2.
I've not played it, but I have seen. I know it exists. Is what I'm
It's
saying.
based on Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
So it is a satire of, like,
Colonization,
intergalactic
corporate.
colonization, exactly. And it's the same deal. It's like all these planets are inhabited by, like, bug-like creatures that you're just going there and, like, wiping out like wholesale. Like, there is no discrimination. It's just full on, like, it's just these are, you know, foreign entities that are, like, hostile and we have to get rid of them for the sake of America or, like, whatever, you know.
Yeah, intergalactic America.
And I do. It's always the thing. It's the same as our own planet and the land masses that we live on, right? It's like these creatures are just, like, trying to exist, you know? Like, it is our stupid little brains, you know, responding without thinking or out of fear, you know. I guess I empathize with that as, like, the fear directive can make you do things that are, like, violent or otherwise not necessarily pragmatic, but, like, I guess I just feel so sorry for animals because like, you know, like, we are so much more technologically advanced than them, right?
Yeah.
Like,
they use very little technology.
yeah.
You know, I know the otters use a rock and they like a rock. That's probably the most
Yeah.
technologically advanced creature I can come up with in my brain right now. The
Yeah.
otters, they have a pocket in their system that they put a rock inside of and they keep the rock most of their life.
Yeah, and I guess they build dams. Like, that's pretty crazy.
That is
the
true,
dams
yeah.
are crazy.
Yeah, otters and beavers are probably the most technologically advanced creatures.
Yeah.
People always go, oh, octopus and dolphin are really smart. But I go,
Well,
what are they doing? They're
Octopuses, did you watch my octopus teacher?
I dare not, because I
you
don't,
have to watch it.
I worry that it's about a guy that fucks the octopus.
No,
Is that what it's about?
It's not. He does love it in a way that's very intimate. But
Yeah,
it's
see,
not,
I'm scared of that.
No, but it is
can't
like
hack
you have
it.
to watch it for the octopus.
I know you're like a mer person or something. I can't hack this stuff.
I thought it was very beautiful, but I do. I think that all that tangent
We'll put that aside, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I have a lot of empathy for
the creature.
life forms, yeah. And I think, like, because they aren't particularly, like, they're cute in a way. The babies are quite cute.
The babies are quite cute.
In Mickey 17. The mom is maybe a little scarier.
She's matronly.
She's
You know?
I don't know if I'd use the word matronly to describe the big, like, pill bug of this creature. But I do think, I don't know, they deserve so much better than they get.
Yeah.
And it's always, like, guys who are, I guess, already quite greedy and who are always so willing without any hesitation to just destroy animals. You know what I mean? Like, whenever I see that, as soon as you pull that in a movie, I'm already like, this guy's gonna die. Like, for me, I immediately jump to, like, this is, like, one of the greatest sins that you can commit is, like, harm against animals. And, like with Okja, like, I cry every time I watch that movie.
Of course.
It's so sad. And like, you know, I also like I'm vegan. So
Yeah.
I'm, you know, I have this feeling very strongly in my body, right?
I'm the opposite of vegan. I'm trying to sample every creature before I pass on to the next realm.
Yeah. But I think, I don't know, I like that Bong Joon-ho is really like an advocate for these animals, for
absolutely.
these creatures. Yeah.
Well, that is Mickey 17, and I would say a hearty endorsement from Montaigne and myself. I think this is like truly a film that's primed to be discovered on your own terms. Sometimes going to the cinema is not on your own terms. So maybe check out Mickey 17 on, I don't know, buy a DVD,
Blu-ray.
get the Blu-ray. Hopefully there's a 4K. I'd love to watch the 4K of it.
Weekly.
But let's get into your weekly choices. And we are continuing on an absurdist surrealism bent for your weekly choices. Is there a particular one you'd like to discuss first?
Let's go Speed Racer because I saw that very recently.
Okay, Speed Racer from 2008 from the Wachowski sisters.
Cult.
This film has previously been picked up on this podcast
Oh, really? Yeah.
by a dear friend of both of us, Mark Bonanno.
Oh, awesome.
And this is
Great.
one of the most special films ever made. This is such a special film. I think that I remember seeing it for the first time and it felt like I was seeing a transmission from the future directly into my retinas. Like this is like a step forward that was ignored. But I think we have in many ways caught up with it. And I would say in particular, a lot of video game, I think, has come from the absolute mind-boggling, phantasmagoric, psychedelic of the Wachowskis that they put through in Speed Racer.
Yeah. Speed Racer is like entirely my shit.
Yeah.
Because, of course, there is like the insane aesthetic pleasure of it. It is like so bright and colorful and everything's very deliberately designed.
Yeah.
I think like it's funny because when I watched this like a couple of months ago.
First time watch?
First time ever with my partner because I'd heard someone say like a acquaintance say like Speed Racer is a really good film and that's hung with me for years. Like I heard them say that years ago.
And I think especially because you go, how can that possibly be?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Like how can it be a really good film?
Yeah, but so I really want to watch it. One night I convinced Nick, my partner, to watch it. And it's funny because like within the first 15 minutes, you get the car race, which is fucking awesome. And that looks amazing. And I find that all of the car race sequence CGI looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like, just grand. But then you get him at like his family home and like the garage opens and in the background is like this just look of CGI from like the early 2000s that for Nick was like almost I have to turn this movie off.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, wow.
It's a choice. You watch and go, this is a choice.
No, but that's what I think because when I saw it for the first time, I was like, ooh, this is dated.
Yeah.
But then as I kept seeing it, I was like, oh no, this is a choice.
Yes.
It's a choice. And I like the choice. I'm a big fan of the choice. So like that really worked for me. I loved it.
My gosh.
Yeah.
My heart is vibrating once again right now. Yes.
But I really loved all of the graphics in Speed Racer. I thought, yeah, like such a strong choice, such a bold choice. And again, like a choice that would alienate a lot of people, I think, who maybe have like slightly more sensible sensibilities, but not for me because I have wild sensibilities.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I was like so taken by it. And then the other thing about it that's awesome to me is like I'm very like politically engaged in like anti-capitalist and anti-corporate and stuff like that. And so to see a film in which the protagonist is like a young man who's just raised by a really solid family who are really staunchly against bastardizing this thing that they love so much, like was really lovely. I love that he never has a moment where he's like, maybe I should sell out. Like, never once does he compromise on his values. It's just from the beginning. The guy, at the beginning, the guy's like, we will give you an unthinkable amount of, like, fame and money to sign with us. And he's like, oh, no.
I think that the way you're describing this now, I go, that is so much, again, what... Is it Lily or Lana who makes Matrix Resurrections after this?
I don't know.
Can never remember who did what, but I think that it's so in line with how they approach the new Matrix sequel as well, which is like, to me, one of the weirdest anti-capitalist films of all time that was poised to be a blockbuster and then wasn't.
Yeah.
Because it's like I think that what they do, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm such a Wachowski head and such a big admirer of everything that they've ever done.
Yeah.
And like the way that they explore a new sense of surrealist or absurdist or even like science fiction with everything that they do and how that relates to people. It's like through emotion. Like I think that the way they approach sci-fi as a genre is through emotion. Like emotion is first. Yeah. Like they're really daggy films because they're all like their heart is not even on their sleeve. It's like on their freaking pant leg as well because it's getting torn up everywhere. Yeah. Like it's everything for me. And the way I always approach Speed Racer, I remember the first time I saw it was like their transitions is what drives me just into this feeling of awestruck. Yeah. Because the way that they transition each shot to the next shot, not even scene to scene, but shot to shot, you could print out this film. Like if you had the celluloid of this film and you just laid it all flat in like a kilometer or whatever and looked from one to the next, it would be, in my head, it's like a clean image that you could understand. Yeah. Whereas it's going, wow, it flows from one to the other because the transitions are so elegant and strange. So you don't see anything like that ever. Yeah. Like it's almost like a page turning, but the page is also animated and has a character attached to it and stuff. It's just, I think this is one of the coolest movies ever made.
I agree.
And also one of the daggiest as well.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I think even just like the car races, like that last race that he does that closes the film, I was just like, this is fucking awesome. Like it just it feels like you're a kid again. You're like just watching something so like epic, and then again because it's fueled by that emotion of like I have to prove to my family and to the world that it is possible to excel and exceed at like my passion without corporate support.
Wow.
Yeah, which is
what you're doing now.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
You've gone independent again.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's such a beautiful message, and why I love the Wachowski sisters because everything they make is about resisting. Yes. Like that really overwhelming influence that like consumes all of us basically in some way or another, and they're so brave for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know I'm saying all that stuff, but I'm going to look down the camera and go, I would love to sell out anytime. I'll sell out, no problem. I've been indie for most of my life. I'll sell out instantly if something comes my way. But I'm so glad you picked up Speed Racer. Just adore this movie. And I love you talk about taking it back to being a kid because I used to watch the anime when I was a kid of Speed Racer. It used to be on the Cartoon Network. And I was either a sickly kid or I faked being sick a lot. I used to just be at home watching Cartoon Network with my grandparents. Yeah. And Speed Racer was always on. And I just used to love that show. But it also gave me the pleasure of being bored, which I had as a kid so much more. Kind of like, oh, it's a nice pleasure to being bored. And I always associate that with Speed Racer. And then when I saw this movie, I go, wow, that's been erased from my brain completely. Because this is like, you cannot be bored watching Speed Racer.
You literally cannot.
Well, let us go to your final weekly pick. Another absurdist little take. This is a film from the Daniels, who recently won Oscars for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah. But this was the film they made previously to that, starring Daniel Radcliffe, Paul Dano. It is Swiss Army Man.
Comedy.
This is another one I think fell like under the radar because it was so weird.
It's too weird for some people.
Definitely people have gone back to discover this film.
Yeah, I think after Everything Everywhere All at Once, because people were like, who are the Daniels? Who are these guys that made this awesome film? And so, you know, that's like the first feature film they made. But
how would you summarize the plot? Because it is almost simple to say what it is.
Yeah, it is pretty simple. It's Paul Dano is stranded on some island. He's about to hang himself because he's stuck, and ostensibly, that's what you think it's all about. You think it's just he's been stranded on an island, he doesn't know how to get off, so he's about to kill himself, and then this corpse washes up on the beach, Danny Radcliffe, and the corpse is kind of like moving in a freaky way and it's like bubbling
He's
kind of.
gyrating his hips.
Yeah.
He's bubbling around.
Precisely. And Paul Dano's like he gets distracted. He's like, I can't hang myself right now because I need to know
I'm
what's
too
up with this
interested with
corpse.
this
Exactly. And then he discovers that like he can ride the corpse like a jet ski and he rides, I guess, to the mainland on Daniel Radcliffe's body.
Yeah.
And the remainder of the film is, I guess, him trying to get back to civilization using Daniel Radcliffe as a tool. But then at some point, Daniel Radcliffe begins talking to him. And so there's like a lot of reality. There's a lot of questions about reality and whether or not this is actually happening, whether or not Daniel Radcliffe is talking, whether or not he... I don't know, his body's capable of all of this weird stuff. Like, farting is a really elemental part of this film.
Absolutely. It's not just elemental, it's essential
Yeah,
to this film.
exactly. Yeah. And, like, his dick moves around
Yes.
like, for some
Like
reason.
a little ruddery type thing, you know? You
Yeah.
do see he gets a stiffy
He gets
during
a stiffy.
this movie.
The stiffy is useful.
The stiffy is very useful.
Yeah, and again, not in a sexual way, just
No,
in
no,
like
no.
a purely functional, non-sexual way.
Functional
Yeah.
life-saving,
Yeah,
you know?
precisely. So,
And I would say
yeah.
it's a glorious moment when you see that stiffy first stiffen and then muck around in his pants. It's woggling around.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
I think it's awesome too. I love, so, you know, people may have picked this up by now, but I love absurdist comedy
Yep.
with sci-fi or fantasy elements or like magical realism even that is about something very human condition-y or else political. So
Yeah.
like I love a political thriller and I love something like Speed Racer where it's very much about political resistance.
Yep.
But then I love something like, you know, Everything Everywhere All at Once or Swiss Army Man or Mickey 17. Well, I guess Mickey 17 is kind of about political resistance as well. But this genre of film that is about like shame and...
Like, it's definitely a film that begins your protagonist in this sense of stuck, Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Where do you go from here? He's already at the end.
Yeah.
Can he save himself?
Yeah,
You know?
precisely. And so, like, even Poor Things, I would lump into this category of like surreal,
Yep.
funny films that like explore the really fundamental things of the human condition. You know what I mean? Like, I love that shit. I think part of that, the reason I do love that shit is because, like, I don't know if I have Arrested Development. I think I'm a relatively
We're artists,
mature
you
person.
know?
No,
we either are
exactly.
stuck and then finding stuff on the inside, you know? That's it.
But I think like sometimes when I think back on my childhood, there are like a lot of like I experienced like a lot of like what's the word? Suppression. Like if I had a thought or something I believed or just said anything,
Yeah.
I was often told like I was lying or that I was just flat out wrong or something. And so I have a lot of doubt about like the things that I say and believe and think because I was just sort of trained to do that. And so watching a film like Swiss Army Man felt like it would just hit really hard for me because that is a guy who is like just plagued by shame. Like there's
Yeah.
a conversation he has in there with Daniel Radcliffe about how about masturbation basically and how his dad sort of used to, I don't remember exactly what his dad said to him about it, but it was something to the effect of like, if you masturbate, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Basically. And like, on the surface, that's kind of like a very gross conversation,
Yeah.
right? But I think like there are a lot of subjects like that seem taboo in society that we can't talk to each other about, but that end up becoming really important to the way that we like express ourselves and are able to feel good in ourselves like by being able to
Yeah.
express, you know what I mean? And I think like that film does such a wonderful job of tackling that and also asking the question of like what is safe expression and when is it the right time to do it, because there's also an element of this film where you're like, oh, Paul Dano, you've been a bit creepy to
You're
a
a
woman.
creep, you're weird,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. You've been a bit like there's something troubling there, but at the same time, it's like you're also reckoning with all this stuff within yourself. You know, it's like I think it does a wonderful job of handling that while also just like being really fucking funny and looking great.
Yeah.
Like the practical effects are so awesome.
And I think like when you speak of those practical effects, it all hinges on Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
Like use that performance that somehow grounds like how whack and wild
He nails it.
the practical effects are.
Yeah, and then also the music. I used
Great
to just
music,
listen to
yeah.
the soundtrack just like on the bus, like
Yeah.
just pop the headphones on and like ba 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 ba. So awesome! Like, yeah, I love that film so much, and I think it does really speak to, I don't know, the way that I like prefer to view the world, which is that like, the world's like really fucking weird and fucked up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think we need world building and storytelling that like represents that in a really far out way. You know what I mean? Like I think it's one thing to just make something really realist and just like a straight up depiction of like struggle and stuff like that, but then I think it can be like pretty liberating to have it
translate
situated within like a
Yeah.
magical or fantastical kind of setting, you know what I mean? Because again, I think like what I love about Swiss Army Man is like you leave the film being like, how much of that was even real?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, which, yeah, I think I also like have this fascination with like the fabric of reality because again my sense of what is real is like relatively firm in that, you know, like I'm not in doubt whether like this tablecloth is like a thing that is right in front of me or not.
But is this video store around
Is
us
it
real
even
or not? Who
real?
can say? Who can say?
Yeah, no, but yeah, that's always been
Yeah.
a topic of interest for me.
That's
That's
so
reality.
beautifully put because I think this film, I saw it at the Sydney Film Festival when it premiered and I was really looking forward to it, but there's something about it that just kept me at arm's length. I don't even know what it is. Like maybe it was the juvenile humor or something like that, and that's usually not a problem for me. There's something, I mean, you know, I love a fart joke. I make quite a few crash jokes in my time as well. But I think there's just always been something about it that kept me at arm's length. But then Everything Everywhere All at Once, instantly I was like, this is, like, that just got me. Like, I really,
It's so good.
I think maybe because I love martial arts movies, I'm a
Yeah.
big Michelle Yeoh head. It just
Totally.
instantly worked for me.
Yeah.
So I am attempting to go back and get into Swiss Army Man.
Yeah.
I think you've laid exactly the groundwork I need to be able to embrace it because I think there's something about the juxtapositions of the humor to the emotionality that I just have never been able to break through.
Yeah.
But I think Radcliffe is so key to it all. Like
Yeah.
it's like
I think he's such a beautiful actor.
me too.
He's probably my favorite actor, honestly.
Really?
Daniel Radcliffe.
Wow.
Yeah. Have you seen that film? Well, it used to be called
Harry
What
Potter.
If?
No. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
It used to be called What If? Do you know
What
that
If?
one?
Is that the one with the
With Zoe
horse?
Kazan. No, it's a rom-com with Zoe
wow.
Kazan, and it's
Yeah.
about him meeting Zoe Kazan, and she's like in a relationship, but they become really good friends.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of chemistry between them, but she's in a relationship,
Yeah.
and it's like cool. That's so good. Adam Driver's in it.
Oh my
It's-
god!
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even know this movie.
You gotta watch it. It's
might
honestly,
watch it
it's
today.
like my favorite rom-com of all
Really?
time.
Oh my!
Yeah.
I'm a big rom-com head, so I
Yeah.
might dive straight into it.
Yeah.
But I will also say, Swiss Army Man, the aesthetic I think is something not dissimilar from what you're playing with, like with the video and visual accompanying aesthetic to your new album as well. Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
a deliberate influence or choice?
It
you think?
is. I put together like a little Canva deck to pitch out to directors,
Yeah.
and like key to that was like, it's Poor Things. That's sort of like grimy, surreal, kind of Victorian, but like
Ugly and beautiful.
yeah, exactly. That sort of aesthetic. And same with the Daniels. I mean, they're, I think, pretty key to the way that I view the world
Yes.
now. Like, I love their films and their music videos
music
so
videos as
much.
well, yeah.
And, like, the action of them, awesome. So, yeah, that was really important. Like, film was really important to, like, those videos. And I think, especially, the weirdness of like, you know, I get born... Tell you what, I haven't seen The Shape of Water yet, and it's like
Wow.
that's kind of the thing that I'm trading in with.
You're
these
not allowed
videos.
to watch it
Yeah, I
yet.
know.
You've got to wait till the album's out because
I
you're
know,
playing like a
exactly.
mer person throughout
Precisely,
these videos, right?
yeah. It's like, yeah, exactly. It's someone, you know, unknown origin. Like, I'm born to a human mother. We don't know about like
Yeah.
what my father's deal is, but I'm a fish person, and then sort of you skip to me being an adult and I end up on a talk show because I'm this fascination to society because I'm the only one like this. And I think it's like, oh, I'm going to endear myself to people, and then they play a prank on me and I'm still ostracized. I don't belong and stuff. And then there'll be another installment. But it was really fun to do all of that.
It seems like just as key to the music to experience this album or to experience these new songs that you're releasing as well.
Yeah.
Like has it always been that way for you to go, well, I need the visual to be... The visual is more of a concept album than the album is a concept album is trying to what I'm going to.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because this album is like... It's kind of a concept album, but not really as well. It's like, I think there's a strong aesthetic there.
It's a concept aesthetic, if anything.
And then there is like kind of an arc, like an emotional arc and a story, but it's very much just about, it's like autobiographical, right? It's just about my life. But I think like the metaphor that we're dealing here with the fish person and them not belonging and stuff like that is, and the sort of like the tragedy of it is like something I'm trying to convey with the album. I think, it's interesting. The concept album thing's interesting because like I've always, I think, wanted to do it, but then I always end up being incapable of like not making things very personal in the songwriting. Yeah. So then I guess with the visuals, that's where
you get to explore
it. Gets expressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, beautifully put, dude. Beautifully put.
Staff pick.
It is now time for me to do the staff pick recommendation.
I'm excited.
I'm putting in all that information, including concepts that we just discussed right now.
Cool.
I have got something for you that I've been so once I like kind of saw this pile of movies you had, these portals, if you will.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I have this movie for you that I myself stumbled across purely by chance a few years ago. Like I had no preconceived idea this film existed, and it felt like it's just been one of those things I just cannot believe exists. Because as I'm going to describe it to you, it's pretty insane. It's a 1977 science fiction film from Czechoslovakia.
Cool.
And it is called Tomorrow I'll Wake Up and Scald Myself with Tea.
Cult.
And I'm sure, obviously, you haven't heard of this because I hadn't even heard of this until recently. But I'll slide that over to you because I do have the Blu-ray copy here for us to discuss right now. For me, this was one of the very best and most vitally exciting time travel films I've ever come across.
Yeah.
It is so strange, so singular, and it has this comedic tone to it that even, half a century later, I think it still feels really fresh.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of captures a lot of that Mickey 17 stuff because there is doubles in it as well.
Yeah.
But this sci-fi, political, satirical bent that I feel like you're interested in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a bit of a synopsis because the synopsis to this film is whack. I'm going to just read this off IMDb because it was the biggest and most... Because nobody's ever heard of this film.
No, I haven't.
I will give you a bit of a thing for it. Former Nazi Klaus Abad survives to the 1990s. So it's already set in a far-off future of the 90s and the 70s by taking anti-aging pills. He plans to use a time travel trip to return to Germany in 1944 and present Hitler with a hydrogen bomb so that he can win the war. Unfortunately, the pilot, who's a woman-chasing Carol Buress, dies on the morning of the trip, and his earnest twin brother, Jan, impersonates him without knowing about this plot at all. The plot goes wrong when they lose the bomb and land near Hitler's bunker in 41 at a time the Nazis sense victory. Buress, with two of the plotters, escape capture by the Nazis and make it back to the time machine. And they program the time machine to one day before they left because he figures he can save his brother and foil the plot. So this is such a whack, wild adventure through time and place. And it's from like this 1970s Czechoslovakian perspective. So the Nazi political satire, I think, is really weird and on point and in a strange way to like kind of look at it all.
Yeah.
To a point where I go, when I first saw this film, I go, this is what I wish Taika had explored instead of Jojo Rabbit. Because I think that this is a much more biting political satire in such a weird way. But I think it's like one of the coolest time travel sci-fi
Awesome.
comedy things I've ever seen. But it's got the weirdest title. Tomorrow I'll wake up and scold myself with tea.
That's so my shit.
Yeah.
It's so good. That's a really good rec.
I think that you will really enjoy this movie. It's like a total romp and
Awesome.
like totally demented in like its absurdist sense.
I'm
like,
so excited
Yeah, there was
to
a
watch
few other films I was thinking for you, but they're all Czechoslovakian for some reason.
I love it.
I think when you picked up all these different surrealist absurdities, something about like Czech New Wave is what grabbed me. I go, we're looking in the Czechoslovakian New Wave area for you.
Dope.
But this is like such a discovery. I hope you enjoy it. If not,
Thank you.
I shall fall on my sword. I will jump through a portal to another world and never return.
No. No one wants that.
Oh, Montaigne, thank you so much for joining us here on the Last Video Store. Your new album comes out on June 19th. It's Hard to Be a Fish. And hopefully it gets easier to be a fish in the future. That's what I'm hoping the message of your
I
album.
hope so too. You know, I'm talking about looking after those creatures. And the fish have it real hard.
But thank you so much for joining us here today. You're going home with a beautiful stack of portals to leap through whenever you want.
I'm so
You've
excited.
got Mickey 17, you got Speed Racer, you have got Swiss Army Man, and now you've got Tomorrow I'll Wake Up and Scold Myself with Tea.
I'm so excited to scold myself with tea.
The Last Video Store.
So that was so fun hanging out with Montaigne in the Last Video Store today. Their album, once again, I'll say it one more time, June 19th, it's Hard to Be a Fish. Check out the music videos. They're awesome. That's why we talked about them so much on the podcast, because they are sick and they are lit, as the kids are saying.
Yep, they definitely are.
Those kids that are probably in their 25 years old now. But thanks for hanging out. Check us out on Instagram, Last Video Store Batuta, putting some fun clips up and trying to do more movie recommendations based on, new release films that I want to recommend to people. If they want to jump in on them, I might put some pics out there. And also check out Refuse Classification, the show that I'm doing with Zach Wayne. We've got an encore season going around Australia in about a month or so. And
Follow Alexi on Instagram for like a little amalgamation of all these things.
All my things at This Is Alexi. I'm out there. I'm out on the Instagram hustle and Letterboxd. At This Is Alexi on Letterboxd as well, where I put up all the lists for all the shows and all the guests that come on this show, so you can click on through. Because otherwise, it may be hard for you to remember the title. Tomorrow, I'll wake up and scold myself with tea. The Czechoslovakian New Wave film I recommended on this pod, which I'm already regretting. No one's going to see and find this Czechoslovakian movie from the 70s.
It gets a huge uptick on Letterboxd because people are adding it to their watch list,
It
trying
might
to track
do.
it down.
Let's see. I'm going to check how many people that follow me have got in their queues right now. Oh, a few. Not that many, but hopefully more do. I really enjoyed this weird-ass movie.
I'll add it now.
Please do. It's got a great aesthetic to it, this film. Enjoy your life. Enjoy the movies.